I should be going live now. Hello and welcome to another episode of Scotch and Stocks. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA earnings. Are you ready? The market seems to be retracing everything that's happened during the day. We're risk off. Everybody's panicking. Everybody's freaking out. Bitcoin hitting almost 80K. Massive selling. Peak uncertainty. We'll see what happens today, but today is one of the first catalysts that could turn the market around with NVIDIA earnings in the horizon. We're going to do today a little NVIDIA overview. We're going to be posting it tomorrow, a little bit of a summary with the results in hand as well. So stay tuned for a full episode of Scotch and Stocks. I hope I'm live, you know, but yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been a crazy day. People are calling me left, right, and center, asking me what is happening. Are we in the right place? Should we continue to invest? What is happening? When is happening? Because nobody really knows. But it
My
just seems to
goodness.
be
It's been a
deleveraging at the moment.
crazy day. People are calling me left, right, and center, asking me what is happening. Are we in the right place? Should we continue to invest? What is happening? When is happening? Because nobody really knows.
But we seem to be live. We seem to be live. Even on LinkedIn too. So this is going to be an interesting day for sure. Hopefully the stream doesn't crash, and if it crashes, I'll be coming as fast as possible back. I've been having a couple of issues with the computer. Let me know if the audio is just fine. Hopefully everything is within the right parameters. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Ooh. But yeah, market's about to close soon. We are 25 minutes away from that, so oof. Everybody seems to be a little scared. Wow, man. Everything's so difficult right now.
Wow,
I think so.
man.
I think we're live. Okay, great. Fantastic. So we should be
Wow,
live on
man.
LinkedIn. Everything's so difficult right now. Oh, so we should be live on LinkedIn and we should be live on YouTube as well. So, oh man, today's been a troubleshooting day getting ready for this live stream. But yes, in today's episodes, we're going to be just talking about what the market is expecting. We still have time in order to get this out of the way, like all the information that we need. So, hopefully, we're able to actually get through everything we need to get through the preconceived expectations. But the market right now seems to be finding a bottom, similar to the 10th of January. We seem to be finding a floor. So Yeah, I mean the S&P 500 is right now sitting at support. The Nasdaq also sitting at support, and Nvidia is the first domino to make either this go crazy up or crazy down. But yeah, so in today's episode, again, just a little recap. Nvidia is holding the market hostages. Once again, it's center stage. We are hoping that they blow it out of the water just like they've been doing, and there is nothing in the research that tells me otherwise. Every single rumor has been extinguished, so we are hoping that that continues. Um, Also, whew, we are looking at the idea that expectations have been resetted with the DeepSeek rumor, and right now expectations are pretty bearish. So usually in the last two earnings calls, we've come into Nvidia with extreme hype, but this is probably, I would say, in the last couple of quarters where the hype has been the other way around. The market has been negative, the sentiment is super bearish, and there are so many other factors affecting the stock price as well. So we could see a massive bounce today. A lot of people are expecting that bounce. Um, Many people that I follow, many analysts that I know. So yeah, I mean, today's a good day to be paying attention for sure. And then we're going to talk about what the market wants, right? So we're looking at potentially earnings per share. We're looking at revenue beats. We're looking at an increasing guidance. The market would really like that because any weakness in future guidance could drop the stock massively, right? The stock is pricing in a lot of growth heading forward, but it also hasn't accounted for the last 2 months of of growth and development that Nvidia has had with the Blackwell production and supply chain finally being production. For the last 8 months, Nvidia has been dead money, you know, unless you have traded it. And right now, we're looking to potentially break that trend. But yeah, it's scary, scary times. The market seems to be scared in many different facets as well, right? So yeah, starting, we're expecting 85 cents per share, and then we're expecting $38 billion worth of revenue. I think we could potentially beat that easily, right? My expectations for this is 95 cents. Sorry. My expectations on this is 90 cents in earnings per share, which is higher than the estimate. And then I'm thinking revenue comes in between $39.5 billion, which would be a beat. Now, prior, we have been beating consistently, and the market punishes the stock because the expectations were too high. So the resetting expectations might actually be beneficial for NVIDIA investors heading into earnings. We're also have to look at how margins is being affected. Margins dropped drastically due to the production of Blackwell, and we've also had the production of the new GPU cards. So we have to see how margins have been affected, and hopefully we get that bounce back. Um, And yeah, we're gonna keep a close eye on data center revenue, because it has been growing like crazy, and right now it accounts for around 79% of Nvidia's earnings, which has surpassed everybody's expectations, right? So we're expecting potentially $100 billion worth of revenue or higher at this point. Um, we are expecting $131 billion worth of revenue after this earnings. So 2024 was a fantastic year. Nvidia continues to print money. Continues to print money. So hopefully that continues, and then we could see a reversal of the negative trends. The market volatility has been nothing more than extraordinary since Trump took office. If we were to have a look at the SPY, we're able to see this, since the January since January 20th, since he took office, the market has just followed every single word that has come out of his mouth. which for good or for bad has been, has been a great trading market. Um, but yeah, we are sitting at a pretty level. Hopefully, we get that correction. Ukraine is about to accept the mineral deal, which would put Trump on the right side of the world again, after he plunders Ukraine. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. The Nasdaq, we're all like we're sitting at very interesting levels. We're also we've in both indexes we're sitting both in the S&P and the Nasdaq. We are bouncing off the 100 moving average, which is a very strong point as well. So we should see. We are 30 minutes away, 35 minutes away from getting the data. So whenever that hits zero, we should be receiving the results. And then the call should be 40 minutes after that. So we'll keep a close eye on a couple of companies in here. I'm paying attention to Mara, but I'm also paying attention to NVIDIA as well. And then the triple QQQs just so we can see a magnified move based on the results. But yeah, we're getting volume into the close. Funnily enough, we're getting price action. There's no more sellers. Everybody's holding. The people that were looking to sell, they've already sold. So, man. Let me know how the audio is, if everything is sounding good. We got to test a couple of other things, and hopefully we can get that sorted. Confirmed bottom? Well, we'll see. HLF. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I don't want to spend too much time. Right now it's the NVIDIA trade. Every single investor right now is paying attention to this earnings. I know a lot of people have a lot of money riding on the stock. But again, when you see the growth that we've had in the stock is, but I'll check it out. I'll keep it posted and I'll potentially do a post on eToro at some point. But yeah, when we look at the daily, and it's like if we look at the growth, I was analyzing the growth of since 2024, and it's just been a fantastic run. It's been a nuts run, even at levels at like at current depressed levels. We're still sitting around 164%, and then at the highs we were sitting at 200%. So there is a lot of what I call right now, it's a lot of de-risking. A lot of people are making a ton of money. People don't have to pay taxes. So you sell right now, you diversify. We've seen a defensive trade, and that's something that I definitely want to talk about a little bit too. When we look at the S&P 500 overall, we are seeing a defensive trade in many different parts of the market. And obviously because the Mac, I guess the Mac 6, because Apple's actually performing well enough. Um, the at least this year. The Max 7, because they're such a big part of the index, they move the whole market down. But the reality is that we are seeing a broadening of the rally as well into other stocks, into defensive stocks. We're seeing healthcare, consumer cyclicals, and then we're also seeing energy and utilities go up as well. But we're seeing a small little shift. But yeah, I mean, the volatility continues to be crazy. Continues to be very, very crazy. Again, we've seen this before. Prior earnings, in the June earnings was the high. And then we saw that hold steady, and then we're sort of holding steady again. So, HLF. What's HLF? I want to pay attention to it. I'll pay attention, but oh man. But yeah, let me know what your expectations are. I see the stock I see Nvidia stock fairly valued, sitting around 160 after these earnings. We've just had such growth. But again, the volume is so tiny just because there's not anybody wants to enter here, you know? We've seen that decrease in volume as it gets expensive. But again, hmm, this will be Trump's legacy, you know? If Trump starts the year, like I think he's already in the negatives. If the S&P 500 is negative since he came to power, so it'll be interesting. Well, X are super high, inflation is higher, so it'll be interesting to see. Oof. But yeah, this is something I want to show real quick. Going into Finviz, and if we look at, I showed this to a couple of my followers. But if you were to look at right the day performance right now, we're seeing that the chips are the left of the left sector. So there seems to be a lot of uncertainty. We just don't know where we want to go from here. If we go into the week, we can see actually, we can see a lot of weakness in tech. And this is the defensive side, right? So consumer defensives, we're seeing Walmart took a hit because of guidance misses, which is also part of what's driving the negative sentiment in the market. Um, we're also looking at healthcare, and I'm surprised the banks, but utilities are also doing very well, right? Because these companies are not going to get too affected in a recession. They tend to actually outperform during a recession. If we go to the month, it's interestingly enough, based on a 1 month performance, was still high in Nvidia. We're still higher than before. And the picture is a little bit more mixed. We see how the hyperscalers are getting punished for their views. The Amazons, the Googles, the Microsofts, Tesla is getting extremely punished. Oh, Tesla broke the 300 today. That's so sad. That's so sad. They need to come out with robots fast, you know? But yeah, I mean, we are seeing that move to safety. And we've been looking at it, even I would say for the last like 3 months, I would even say that we have been seeing that. Even Walmart is still in the highs. Costco is around 8%. You see here, we see the financials get a little bit of momentum too in the last 3 months. So we are seeing that move to safety again. So yeah, I mean, it's scary times. Scary times. There's a lot of FUD in the markets, but let's look at the 6 months just from the June. But yeah, it's a broadening of the rally. Even JP Morgan's outperformed Nvidia. So the banks are actually doing extremely well, even though they got punished the other day. Market seems to be rallying into the close. There is a lot of like it hasn't taken a lot of volume today to move the markets. It's just everybody's holding steady, and then I think Trump has something to say about the tariffs, and that's also driving markets. So sentiment is being driven by a bigger story here, and Trump has a lot to do with it too. Not only his fault, but there's a yellow light flashing in the panel. Services data came in worse than expected. Inflation expectations are starting to rise, and the rest of the market is starting to freak out a little bit. Oh, you la la. Oh, need to copy this, copy link. I need to post it. Oh, man, you feel the panic. Like yesterday my body was telling me to get out. And every single time I get that feeling, it's a good time to buy. So I'm hoping that it's a good time to buy. I have some positions, so I'm risk on right now. The one thing that did scare me today was the price of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin tends to be a risk on asset. And the fact that we're seeing those drops, it's just because of the sentiment and the peak fears that we're hitting. But if we start breaking the 200 moving average, it could start getting ugly, right? So we are 8 minutes until market close. If you have any positions you want to place, make sure you place them. Because in about 8 minutes, we enter go mode. Gummo. But the market is rallying into the close, which is good news, you know? Hmm. What else am I missing? Let me show my due diligence in here. So we get the end of fiscal year 2025, which is going to be good. We're going to get that data being updated. So yeah, market expectations are set, you know. I think the highs would be 95 cents. Anything higher than 95 cents in earnings per share would be fantastic. But again, the estimate there's people saying 26 cents, which would be outrageous. That'll be pandemonium for the whole market overall, and then potentially even the highs of $42 billion, right? So expectations I think have like come down and they haven't updated on those. So hopefully I'm thinking like, look, like high 40s, anything higher than 40 is going to be great. Anything higher than 40 is great for the stock. You know, the problem is like, you know, it's funny because Kramer said that one of the most deafening things was the silence from Jason, the Jensen one. And I just actually, I'm actually against that. I actually, you know, he's not an Elon Musk. He's not a guy that has to continue to prove the market. He proves the market by just showing fantastic results, you know, which is one thing that Elon Musk is not doing. You know, the more Elon talks, the more the worse his stock is performing usually, you know. So something to pay attention to. Not shitting on Elon. Elon is great, but he's also dangerous right now. So we are expecting margins to rise here a little bit. I'm hoping at least that we do get a little bit of an increase, but the market's actually not thinking that. So hopefully we get it. Hopefully we get it. A little bit touching on the products that have rolled out. The 5000 series has started rolling out. The launch is having a couple of issues too. So that also has added a little bit to the negative sentiment. We've also seen Blackwell GPUs full steam production. We're hoping that the issues with overheating have been resolved. It's going to be interesting to see how and who they mentioned in the earnings call. SMCI last earnings call was mentioned during the call and they got a boost. So hopefully we could see SMCI take advantage of, you know, of the Blackwell adoption. The 5000 series is tricky just because the 5000 series is tricky because there are some issues in terms of the production, but it's only a small percentage of all of the cards that are being produced, and NVIDIA has addressed this. So we're hoping that gets fixed before the next ramp up of production. So yeah, well, and then they have Project Digits, which is a small computer. It's an interesting. It'll be interesting to see what sort of revenue that could bring and how small AI computers could actually develop the landscape as well. Um, yeah, man, panic starting to set in. 4 minutes until market close. Make sure you set up your trades. Hmm. Oh, I'm heavily invested right now. So, oosh. So we're looking at right now. We're looking at okay. So yeah, the market industry and the context, right? So this is an interesting part because the DeepSeek moment, many people freaked out about it, and we saw a massive drop in Nvidia hitting the lows of 117. And this was in addition to all of the other rumors that were piling up, which was the fall of the peace in Russia, Ukraine, the fall of the deal, and the ceasefire in Israel and Hamas. So the price of the stock hit 117. DeepSeek for me was actually not a negative catalyst, and it shouldn't have been. Should have been actually a positive catalyst. It's given the market everything it wants. You know, in all honesty, it's making the models cheaper, which makes margins higher, in my opinion, because the competition here is not against other hyperscalers, but actually it's against labor, right? So if you can hire somebody for $20, at least in the use cases that I have seen with ChatGPT and other LLMs, the cheaper you can give it to me, the more I'm going to use it, and the more I'm going to use it, and the more value I get from it, the more I'm willing to pay. I'm not a subscriptions guy, and I'm actually considering the $200 ChatGPT subscription. So that tells you something, right? But again, the adoption of models like this has not been vastly taken yet. Like if you were to ask like 10 people on the street, I still do believe that people don't use it on a daily basis. They're just like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. It makes cool emails, you know?" But I don't think we are seeing that sort of adoption that we need to see in order to create the value that these companies want to create, and also the use cases as well, right? Which is something I'm going to talk about in a little bit later. Yeah. Um People are expecting demand to come down based on that. I again, like LLMs for me accounts for a very small part of the whole sector. So I don't see demand for chips coming down anytime soon. Right now, demand and supply is not in equilibrium. We are seeing demand being 10x of what the supply is right now. NVIDIA's chips are sold for the next 12 months. And we're going to get an update to see how much more that is in this earnings call. So, again, you know, I'm expecting stellar, and nothing but stellar would be scary. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look. Policy and regulation. I mean, the Americans. I mean, Donald Trump is likely to curtail chips getting shipped to market close, ladies and gentlemen. Ding, 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 ding. It is time. Crazy. It is time for Jensen Juan. It is time. We are 20 minutes away. It is time for the jacket. Let's go. All right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, NVIDIA's earnings are upon us. Woohoo! Man, let's go. NVIDIA's earnings are upon us. The time is here. We are about 20 minutes away from getting the results. We're going to open up the charts and I'm going to continue my little spiel. Going to the 10-minute candles and what to expect, right? Whenever we get the results, this is going to move really quickly. Mara will move whenever they get results. NVIDIA will move whenever we get results. Stay tuned because it's going to be fast. It's going to be quick. And we're going to the market fundamental. But yeah, so one of the scary things about NVIDIA right now is the Chinese curtails, but I don't think that is affecting NVIDIA too much, you know? Like they have managed to, with the current restrictions, they've managed to actually outperform. And I continue to think that they're going to outperform. Now, when they start talking about potentially Singapore getting restrictions, I just don't see it, right? Like it's usually like if you have two big powers working together to stop the trafficking of chips, sure, right? But the moment you get to China, nobody's going to tell you off because you brought American chips, right? There's no cartels in China, right? So I don't see that affecting the market too much. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Salesforce Q4 comes in at $2.78, estimated $2.61, so that's a beat. And revenue comes in lower than expected. Wow. So that's software right there, something we have to be paying attention to as well. It's a problem, you know? I need more screens. Salesforce. He keeps shitting on the markets. You know what I mean? I bet you he's trading this. You know, the moment the market like gets a little bit of euphoria, bam. You know.
Wow,
I think so.
man.
You know. So yeah, he definitely is trading these markets. You know. Ooh. How you doing, Dragos? How was your day? Bitcoin is hurting like crazy too. That's one thing that has me worried as well. Like that was the one thing that I was like, it's a lot of volatility. All right, let's just double check.
Voice news disconnected.
Sorry, he is. All right. So I've got the news on there. There was a lot of selling. Max 7 was pretty much flattish, but oh man. So yeah, and competition. One of the things that's driving the market is the fact that, you know, all of the big companies are trying to get more service space. So that's one that those are the reasons I think potentially we are to see Nvidia beat on here. Um, One of the negative rumors was like the reduction of capital expenditures by Microsoft. That turned out to be negative and false. Because and this was super interesting because companies like this don't make plans for 1 year or 2 years. They're not day traders. You know what I mean? Like making a plan for a year, like a year today. Like they have a long term plan that they try to execute. Microsoft did say that they were hoping for, like, they make their plans on their data centers 10 years in it ahead of time. So are we gonna see, are we gonna chip sales drop in the near future? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. It's the truth. That would have been nice. That would have been very nice. You know, I'm paying very close attention to see whenever they report. Um, Nvidia's taking over my feed, which is hilarious. Hmm. Oh man, do you have any trades on Nvidia going on right now? Right now, I'm trading like the TQs, and I'm trading. My target for Nvidia right now is sitting at 160. Things is there's going to be a lot of selling pressure at 160, which is crazy. Bitcoin recovered a little bit, sitting at 84K. Let's go. So the whole market recovered a little bit. Let's have a look. Ladies and gents. Ooh, that's something I gotta do too. I'm surprised I'm not hearing anything here. $25% tariffs. I wonder what he wants. I wonder what he wants. We are about 10 minutes away. Huh? Hmm? The guy, the CEO of the company wears the jacket. So yeah. So you gotta wear the jacket, you know. You gotta represent. Oh man. Whew. There's quite a bit of volume coming in at the close, eh? Market is rallying. Oh, this is panic mode. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, ladies and gents. Oh. I hope so. Todavía no ha publicado, pequeño. Todavía no, pequeño. Antonio's in the chat. Yeah. Oh, now it's just a waiting game. I've been waiting all day. We gave away, like, today was a trading day. Today was a trading day. Oh, man. I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Let's keep in mind just under 10 minutes away now to expecting NVIDIA to report their Q4 2025 earnings. Highly anticipated earnings report here. Estimated EPS of 84 cents with an estimated revenue of $38.26 billion.
Oh, man. Woohoo! There was a lot of buying. You know what was super interesting? At market open was like a massive buy. Like pre-market, there was a massive buy. So something to pay attention for show. Market open.
So just to keep users updated ahead of the NVIDIA earnings report then, shares closed up 3.7% today, currently extending gains up 0.6% in post-market trade today. Again, coming out at 20 minutes past.
Well, Mara came out with results. Bitcoin yield per share of 62.9%. So Mara had that's so crazy. It's just so
European
negative.
Commission spokesperson in response to Trump's comments says the EU will react firmly and immediately against unjustified barriers to free and fair trade.
They should actually have benefited from the rally, but yeah, stock barely moving. Crap. I was trying to get the results on this. I still haven't gotten the proper analysis on this.
So looking at some commentary ahead of the NVIDIA report then,
Just nobody's
S&P
paying
should see a
attention to this.
bigger push than usual following NVIDIA's earnings today. Recent options data suggests. And so the S&P 500 is slated to rise or fall 1.3% over the next 2 days, according to data compiled by Goldman Sachs. That's larger than the typical move of 8% in either direction, which is seen on average by the broad index following NVIDIA's last 8 earnings reports.
Like, it was crazy because like the implied volatility on many stocks and many ETFs did not change. It was crazy. It was crazy. SMCI, the contracts are still massively expensive. It's good, but I'm not. Did you get the results, Dragos, by any chance?
EU Commission spokesperson says this includes when tariffs are used to challenge legal and non-discriminatory policies. So again, the European Commission spokesperson, in response to Trump comments, said the EU will react firmly and immediately against unjustified barriers to free and fair trade. And this includes when tariffs are used to challenge legal and
The
non-discriminatory
thing is
policies.
like, if this goes well with an NVIDIA and Bitcoin rallies tomorrow, this explodes to the upside. I still don't have the results though. Revenue was 214 million, which was it's better than expected. And what I called. I freaking called it. I freaking called it. The question is how much is it gonna move?
5 minutes
God
later, we're
damn it.
expecting NVIDIA's Q4 2025 earnings.
Oh.
Estimated EPS, 84 cents. Estimated revenue, $38.26 billion. Canadian stock.
Boom. Come on. Come on. This is like, okay, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. This is great. 240 million, 214 million is fantastic for Mara. This was what I was expecting. I want to see the EPS.
EU Commission spokesperson says the EU has been a boon for the United States.
But it's not the center. It's not center stage today. It's not center stage today. Oh. I was supposed to do Mara earnings and I had them as a different stream. And it turned out that it was today. And I can't do it today. I just can't, you know. This is good. This is good. Can we get pop all the way to 16? If we get pop all the way to 16, what was the EPS? You get the EPS? Like, Bitcoin has to rally for Mara to rally and get into a euphoria phase. But this is really good. But again, we still have GDP tomorrow. We still have freaking PC data on Friday. Like, there's so many like important catalysts that we need to get out of the way. We are 3 minutes away, ladies and gents. 3 minutes away. Yo, by the way, what about the timer? You guys don't like don't watch? Ah! Market is liking this. Come on, come on. Let's go. I was losing, like, at one point, I was losing as much money in Bitcoin as I was losing in my NVIDIA position. Bam! Let's go. Okay, earnings per share, it's a beat. Let's freaking
European
go!
Commission spokesperson says
Earnings
we're
per
ready to
share beats by
partner if you play
100%.
by the rules.
Let's freaking go! Let's freaking go! Please, NVIDIA beat. Please don't crash the market, NVIDIA. Please. Ah! Today was a great day to double up on that trade. I should have doubled up on that trade. I'm still not in the money. Ah! Come on. Come on. NVIDIA, 3 minutes. NVIDIA, 3 minutes. It'll be nuts. It'll be nuts. The earnings were fantastic. This is a $25 stock right now. It should be a $25 stock. I'm not asking for a lot. But at current Bitcoin prices, we could see a turnaround. We could see a turnaround. Brace, brace, brace. Wow, 2 minutes. Let's go. You only get one shot, one opportunity. Oh. It's time, ladies and gents. It's time. We bounce for the 100 moving average. The NASDAQ tomorrow should find sunny skies. Oh, that's what I'm hoping, at least.
We are shortly expecting NVIDIA's Q4 2025 earnings. Again, estimated EPS 84 cents, estimated revenue $38.26 billion.
Ladies and gentlemen, Godspeed. 30 seconds away from results, ladies and gents. Everybody, get ready. Ten, nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ding, 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 ding.
Expecting NVIDIA earnings any time from now.
Oh no.
Seeing NVIDIA earnings now, revenue a beat, 39.3 billion, an estimate of 38.25 billion.
Oh
Adjusted
no.
EPS a beat, 89 cents, estimates 84 cents. Adjusted gross margin, as expected, 73.5%. Gaming revenue, that's a miss, 2.5 billion, an estimate of 3.02 billion. Data center revenue is a beat, 35.6 billion, an estimate of 34.09 billion. Forward guidance, they see their first quarter revenue 43 billion plus or minus 2%, and they see their Q1 revenue again 43 billion plus or minus 2%. Ramped up massive scale production of Blackwell AI, and they say that demand for Blackwell is amazing.
Oh
So looking
wow.
to the markets now, S&P 500 seeing some strength in post-market, as
All
is
right, we need
the
to see this
NASDAQ.
quickly.
Shares
Did
of
they
NVIDIA
miss
up
on
around
earnings per
3.9%
share?
so
Did I
far.
get that right?
They also see their first quarter adjusted gross margin 70.5% to 71.5%, which is a miss on the prior estimate of 72.1%.
That's
NVIDIA
not
also
good.
comment they successfully ramped up Blackwell massive production, and Blackwell is
89. No, they
achieving
beat.
billions of dollars in sales in the first quarter.
Okay, to beat, very close to the revenue was not as expected, but it's a massive ramp up.
And so just to repeat that, some of the commentary from NVIDIA here, demand for Blackwell is amazing, achieving billions of dollars in sales in Q1. Shares climbing 4% after their Q1 revenue forecast tops estimates as well. So again, they see their first quarter revenue at $43 billion, plus or minus 2%, when the prior estimate was $42.3 billion. So again, also a beat on their first quarter revenue estimates as well.
The volatility is insane.
Index futures in post-market now just seeing some whipsawing back to around their closing levels. Fourth quarter computing revenue 32.56 billion, which is a beat on estimates of $30.41 billion. Networking revenue is a miss, $3.02 billion, and estimates of $3.51 billion. Also seeing shares of Broadcom up 1% in extended trade following NVIDIA's earnings report. NVIDIA delivers $11 billion of Blackwell architecture revenue in Q4. That's again $11 billion of Blackwell architecture revenue delivered in Q4.
Oh, wow.
Shares in NVIDIA post-market trade reverse back to flat now, actually seeing some dips into the negative here.
We are seeing it bounce. Wow, the volatility is crazy. Everybody's trying to figure this out. All right. News. I need to get the news quicker. Make sure you subscribe if you want to if you want to support the channel so we can get better internet. Ay, vaina. Give me Q4, man. Come on, man. Still don't have them. I don't have them, and I don't like it. Let me have a look. So, NVIDIA's earnings per share came in at 89 cents, and the estimate was 84 cents, so better than expected. Revenue comes in a little bit weaker. My expected revenue was 39.5. It came in at 39.38. Data center revenue comes in $1.5 billion stronger, which is fantastic. Margin comes in at 73.5. The estimate was 73.5, so they are in line with expectations. Gaming revenue is smaller than expected, so that's where we're seeing potentially the miss on it. But gaming revenue, who really cares? At least for now. I want a graphics card, but hey. Then we have, come on, man, give me the freaking data. A second. All right, there we go. Okay. So let's break this down. Let's break this down. Ah! So the stock's higher on this news, but it's pretty much flattish. I mean, that's insane. All right, so record quarterly revenue of $39.3 billion, up 12% from Q3 and 78% from a year ago. Record quarterly revenue from 35.6 billion, 16% higher, and 93% year on year. For fourth quarter and fiscal. So let's have a look. So gross margin, it's actually up year on year. Okay, cool. So revenue is expected to be $43 billion. So if we can say like 2%, they beat by more than 2% likely. Or around that. But they are in the top 70 to 71%. Cool. It's expecting margins to come up a little bit more, but I'm guessing they have to increase.
And so keeping an eye on shares of NVIDIA in post-market trade are fluctuating between gains and losses here, currently down around 0.5%, but again, it's seeing swings quite volatile in post-market trade in both directions here. Indices following suit as well. Quite a lot of whipsawing in the US indexes at the moment.
Like, it's not bad. It's not bad earnings. It's really not bad earnings. But market don't like it. Seems like market don't like it at all. Fourth quarter gaming revenue was down. That's so crazy. I'm quite surprised at that. Are they? That's weird. I want to know why. I really want to know why. All right, let's have a look at the outlook. So, okay. Reveal that cloud services provided by AWS around the world, meeting customer demand AI. Oh, wow. Whoa, man. What crazy moves today, eh? What crazy moves. Well, the Mara earnings were fantastic, as I called, but then just the negative sentiment on the stock and Bitcoin alone is definitely not helping.
NVIDIA also comment that this is the fastest product ramp up in their company's history, referring presumably to the Blackwell system. Do just keep in mind with NVIDIA at the top of the hour, we do see their earnings call starting. If you wanted to register to watch this live, we have got the registration link pinned to the NVIDIA earnings call calendar entry. Again, for anyone interested in watching that live, that takes place at the top of the hour.
4.5% of all of our common stock entitled to vote at this meeting. And I certify that, as required by the company's bylaws, the holders of a sufficient number of common stock are present virtually or by proxy, and that a quorum is therefore present.
Thank you, Zabi. Because holders of at least a third of the shares entitled to vote at this meeting are present.
Was that? Who was speaking? Right. Let me register.
So seeing some analyst commentary here regarding the market reaction to NVIDIA's results, saying that this reaction is interesting because at first glance they look pretty solid. The company said demand for its new generation Blackwell chips has been amazing, and its Q1 revenue guidance was slightly higher than consensus at $43 billion plus or minus 2%. Versus the $42.3 billion consensus. Data center revenue beat as well, and margins were up. And yet, traders are having difficulty making up their minds about which way to push the stock. That suggests that they were hoping for a little bit more than they got. And it's not great news for the S&P 500, which has already been struggling to find new gains this week in the face of weaker economic data. So get into some analyst commentary regarding the reaction to this NVIDIA earnings release.
$11 billion of Blackwell architecture. And that's kind of heavy because it tells you that they're also ramping down the old chips as well. So it is eating into demand, but they're growing demand drastically. You're talking about 11 million in a quarter. Like they are gonna get the best ones. Don't get me wrong. If you are at 4x, let's have a look. Stock is whipsawing like crazy. 8% moves. It's gonna be interesting to see. Whoa. What are they saying in the call? I didn't like what I heard. It's gonna be a nothing burger. This move. Just wow. So that makes $129 billion a year at the end of the year. That was massive volume for after hours. Wow. Market is not liking it. And that is not good. We have to hear Jensen talk. It's not gonna be whiskey today. Today I have to analyze. But it was a great beat. It was a great beat.
Oh man. Insanity today, insanity. Just volatility. The question is like I spoke to a friend and he was like, I'm looking to get it out of my position. Interestingly enough. At higher prices, obviously, but we just haven't seen that. Wow. I was expecting 140 today. The negative sentiment, though. Holy smokes. Let me have a look at the 1 minute candle, see if I can come up with anything, but just the whipsawing is crazy. It is insane. All right, so we got the music. We are ready. Oh, ladies and gents, ladies and gents, ladies and gents, the market doesn't know how to react to this. The market does not know how to react to this. That was such an insane move. How much was volume there? How much volume were we talking about here? Like in the grand scheme, I think it was like what, $2 million worth of stock and then resold right after? That is crazy. I mean, what does this tell me at this point? I have no idea. There should have been. Mara was fantastic news. Fantastic. It met all of my expectations. All of them. It was great. The problem is the price of Bitcoin is dropping massively. What's Bitcoin doing right now? That was the thing, man. That was the problem with the BTC trade. Like Bitcoin is like as a risk asset is telling us something, and it's people want to get out. Man, freaking Trump, dude. Freaking Trump. We were rallying today, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope, nope. We need to get out. We need to get out. Tariffs 25%. We just don't like them. Old season coming. We need to see Bitcoin rally. Is Mara having earnings? I want to look at Mara's earnings too. You got 10 minutes.
have a look. Did they have today? No, I don't see any data out for them. So I'm not sure. But it's Brazil. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's later. No, I should be around now. No, PVR. Let me have a look. I swear, yep. No, should be. No. No, es que no lo rastrea. Yeah. PVR did they release? Let me have a look. No sé. Maybe. You good? You good? Juanita. PVR. No, not yet. They haven't released yet. They should have released though. I might later. Yeah. For now, it's. I mean, maybe. Let it start because I don't need to. I can pay attention and people don't have to watch me. eBay had earnings today. Revenue beat. Earnings. You know what? I'm really liking eBay. I'm really liking eBay. NVIDIA had earnings. It was great. Better than expected. Better than expected. I was expecting 39.5 though. I was expecting 39.5. I was expecting higher. Like the big question here is like, okay, like how much is the H100s getting affected here? Send them to China. China. Who's speaking? Am I missing something? Because I swear to God. It smells fantastic. Oh man, that Bitcoin trade. I'm still higher on the day, but oh man. They haven't released yet. Let's have a look. Well, who else had? Snow. Oh shit, Snow beat a lot. Have a look at Mara. I think Mara's life. Mara beat so good. They beat so good.
Following the close of the US cash equities markets, just going to give you guys a quick market wrap of the session today. So as traders considered NVIDIA's earnings in the late hours of the day, the biggest technology shares in the world shook. So following the end of regular trading, there was volatility in the $330 billion ETF that tracks the NASDAQ 100, known as QQQ. Though the shares failed to hold gains, the massive chipmaker, which is considered a barometer for AI, provided a bullish revenue forecast for the current quarter. Stocks churned ahead of NVIDIA's results as traders processed Trump's barrage of trade policy statements. Bonds rose following a strong $44 billion auction of 7-year notes. The S&P 500 remained relatively unchanged. NASDAQ 100 gained spot 2%. Dow Jones fell 0.4%. Yields on the 10-year treasuries fell 4 basis points to 4.25%, and the dollar gained spot 1%.
Look at this. You see that? See that? Right there. Right there. Right there. 1,650% beat. And the stock is
of all of our common stock entitled to vote at this meeting. And I certify that, as required by the company's bylaws, the holders of a sufficient number of common stock are present virtually or by proxy, and that a quorum is therefore present.
motherfuckers are diluting.
Because holders of at least a third of the shares entitled to vote at this meeting are present virtually or by proxy, I hereby declare that a quorum is present at this meeting. In accordance with the company's bylaws, and declare this meeting to be duly convened for purposes of transacting such business as may properly come before it. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the company, I would like to express my appreciation to all stockholders who are attending this meeting and those who were unable to attend but returned their proxies. The polls for voting on all matters are now open. All MARA stockholders entitled to vote at this meeting have the ability to do so online. If you are a stockholder entitled to vote and have not yet voted, or if you want to change your previously cast vote, please do so via the website used to access this meeting. Please remember that if you have already voted by proxy, it is not necessary to vote again. After voting has been completed on all matters on the agenda, date or dates, if necessary,
Favor of proposal number 1.
No, this is the last goal. I'm not sure. Well, the stock didn't collapse. DeepSeek didn't take over the stock price just yet, at least. ¿Tú qué haces? ¿A qué le vas a hacer, papita? We saw this. Mara was nuts. Mara was nuts. Mara was insane. Mara's down, dude. Yeah, it's a little bit up. I don't know. The call that they have, it's kind of weirding me out. We still have 10 minutes. I could. Oof. Now they're renting their computers, like their servers too. Oh, Dragos. Do you want to see something crazy? Look at NVIDIA's pricing. It it went all the way to 136, all the way down to 124. And now we're back to even. Mara, I think Mara, if we get a bounce, could potentially rally like crazy, but man, like it had amazing earnings. It had a great earning.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. But that's the problem. I have Mara calls for the 21st, but 18. We could see it. Like if Trump does sign with Ukraine. Yeah. They have the yeah, Q4 now. God damn it, dude. Just we're seeing weakness, so should the IRS be abolished? Yeah. Sure.
Also noting Salesforce shares turning positive after falling as much as 10%.
What did he say? Swear to God, I sometimes don't understand what he says.
Trump order posted by a White House affiliated X account. So according to the White House, Trump signed an order to implement Doge cost efficiency efforts. Again, this Trump order posted by the White House affiliated X account.
Tomorrow might be a day to buy. And then tomorrow we have GDP as well, so it's gonna be nuts, dude. Yeah. No more.
My money net say US money market fund assets are down $36.63 billion for the week ending February 25th.
Oh. It is pretty crazy though. Q1 2024. So that's 2023. Q1 2023.
US SEC and cryptocurrency
It's
entrepreneur
nuts.
Sun are exploring a potential resolution of a civil fraud case, according to a court filing.
I'm surprised, and the fact that this came, well, because this is Black Friday. And this is not accounting for. Weird. Maybe we saw the slowdown in gaming because market's healing. Let's go! Maybe we saw the slowdown because of the 5090 series. People are just not hoping to buy. What do we see normally? Here we saw an increase, but minuscule. Could we've seen a front running of the buy? Maybe. Because I thought gaming was picking up again, you know. This freaks me out a little. Come on, NVIDIA. Bump, bump. You gotta rally. Bump, bump. 182 views. Let's go. By the way, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe here in the content. Auto is increasing. Just bam, 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 bam. 296. Double almost from here. Here, not so good. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, that was the meeting the other time, because they were talking about worms and stuff too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 4 minutes away from the talks. We're gonna be listening to this. Let's have a look at what Mariana posted. Joder. ¿Qué coño ha pasado? Let's fucking go! Ah! This needs to go higher. 10 minutes. Let's fucking go. Fucking Bitcoin, just rally. Dude, just go. Go up. Go up. God damn it. Did I hear that right?
Bitcoin last down 5% at around $84,201.
Trump, just calm down. Just be nice to. If Trump doesn't mess up and GDP data is decent tomorrow, not too strong, just in line. Give me in line tomorrow. That's what I'm expecting for GDP. And then PCE data comes in. You know what? I'm happy with in line. I'm happy with in line. If all of it comes in line, that takes away the fears. And then Trump, just make peace with Ukraine. Ukraine didn't start it. Like, that's a fact. And then we can go back to all-time high and continue this rally. I should have bought calls today. Wait, the problem is they were still expensive. What would Mara calls today? What did they do? Mara contracts closed at 31 cents today. Well, that's a mistake. Oh yeah, definitely a mistake. Crap. That was a 100% mistake. I should have doubled my position on those hot contracts. That would have been nuts. I would have been in the money now. Nah, not really.
Good afternoon. My name is Krista, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to NVIDIA's fourth quarter earnings call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. And if you would like to withdraw your question, again, press star 1. Thank you. Stuart Stecker, you may begin your conference.
Thank you.
Come on.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the first quarter of fiscal 2026. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can't be reproduced or transcribed without prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties.
What I do for you guys.
Results may differ materially. For discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, February 26, 2025, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Stuart. Q4 was another record quarter. Revenue of $39.3 billion.
USOCC reports security incident involving voice news disconnected.
Year on year, and above our outlook of $37.5 billion. For fiscal 2025, revenue was $130.5 billion, up 114%.
It's fucking nuts.
Let's start with data center. Data center revenue for fiscal 2025 was $115.2 billion, more than doubling from the prior year. In the fourth quarter, data center revenue of $35.6 billion was a record, up 16% sequentially and 93% year on year, as the Blackwell ramp commenced and Hopper 200 continued sequential growth. In Q4, Blackwell sales exceeded our expectations. We delivered $11 billion of Blackwell revenue to meet strong demand. This is the fastest product ramp in our company's history, unprecedented in its speed and scale. Blackwell production is in full gear across multiple configurations, and we are increasing supply quickly to meet expanding customer adoption. Our Q4 data center compute revenue jumped 18% sequentially and over 2x year on year. Customers are racing to scale infrastructure to train the next generation of cutting-edge models and unlock the next level of AI capabilities. With Blackwell, it will be common for these clusters to start with 100,000 GPUs or more. Shipments have already started for multiple infrastructures of this size. Post-training and model customization are fueling demand for NVIDIA infrastructure and software as developers and enterprises leverage techniques such as fine-tuning, reinforcement learning, and distillation to tailor models for domain-specific use cases. Hugging Face alone hosts over 90,000 derivatives created from the Llama Foundation model. The scale of post-training and model customization is massive and can collectively demand orders of magnitude more compute than pre-training. Our inference demand is accelerating, driven by test time scaling and new reasoning models like OpenAI's O3, DeepSeek R1, and Grok 3. Long-thinking reasoning AI can require 100x more compute per task compared to one-shot inferences. Blackwell was architected for reasoning AI inference. Blackwell supercharges reasoning AI models with up to 25x higher token throughput and 20x lower cost versus Hopper 100. It is revolutionary. Transformer Engine is built for LLM and mixture of experts inference. And its NVLink domain delivers 14x the throughput of PCIe Gen 5, ensuring the response time, throughput, and cost efficiency needed to tackle the growing complexity of inference at scale. Companies across industries are tapping into NVIDIA's full stack inference platform to boost performance and slash costs. Snap tripled inference throughput and cut costs by 66% using NVIDIA TensorRT for its screenshot feature. Perplexity sees 435 million monthly queries and reduced its inference costs 3x with NVIDIA Triton Inference Server and TensorRT LLM. Microsoft Bing achieved a 5x speedup and major TCO savings for visual search across billions of images with NVIDIA TensorRT and acceleration libraries. Blackwell has great demand for inference. Many of the early GB200 deployments are earmarked for inference, a first for a new architecture. Blackwell addresses the entire AI market from pre-training, post-training to inference across clouds to on-premise to enterprise. CUDA's programmable architecture accelerates every AI model and over 4,400 applications, ensuring large infrastructure investments against obsolescence in rapidly evolving market. Our performance and pace of innovation is unmatched. We're driven to a 200x reduction in inference costs in just the last 2 years. We deliver the lowest TCO and the highest ROI. And full stack optimizations for NVIDIA and our large ecosystem, including 5.9 million developers, continuously improve our customers' economics. In Q4, large CSPs represented about half of our data center revenue, and these sales increased nearly 2x year on year. Large CSPs were some of the first to stand up Blackwell, with Azure, GCP, AWS, and OCI bringing GB200 systems to cloud regions around the world to meet surging customer demand for AI. Regional clouds hosting NVIDIA GPUs increased as a percentage of data center revenue, reflecting continued AI factory buildouts globally and rapidly rising demand for AI reasoning models and agents. Or we've launched a 100,000 GB200 cluster-based instance with NVLink Switch and Quantum 2 InfiniBand. Consumer internet revenue grew 3x year on year, driven by an expanding set of generative AI and deep learning use cases. These include recommender systems, vision language understanding, synthetic data generation search, and agentic AI. For example, XAI is adopting the GB200 to train and inference its next generation of Grok AI models. Meta's cutting-edge Andromeda advertising engine runs on NVIDIA's Grace Hopper superchip, serving vast quantities of ads across Instagram, Facebook applications. Andromeda harnesses Grace Hopper's fast interconnect and large memory to boost inference throughput by 3x, enhance ad personalization, and deliver meaningful jumps in monetization and ROI. Enterprise revenue increased nearly 2x year on the accelerating demand for model fine-tuning, RAG, and agentic AI workflows, and GPU accelerated data processing. We introduced NVIDIA Llama Nematron model family NIMs to help developers create and deploy AI agents across a range of applications, including customer support, fraud detection, and product supply chain and inventory management. Leading AI agent platform providers, including SAP and ServiceNow, are among the first to use new models. Healthcare leaders IQVIA, Illumina, and Mayo Clinic, as well as ARC Institute, are using NVIDIA AI to speed drug discovery, enhance genomic research, and pioneer advanced healthcare services with generative and agentic AI. As AI expands beyond the digital world, NVIDIA infrastructure and software platforms are increasingly being adopted to power robotics and physical AI development. One of the early and largest robotics applications in autonomous vehicles, where virtually every AV company is developing on NVIDIA in the data center, the car, or both. NVIDIA's automotive vertical revenue is expected to grow to approximately $5 billion this fiscal year. At CES, Hyundai Motor Group announced it is adopting NVIDIA technologies to accelerate AV and robotics development and smart factory initiatives. Vision transformers, self-supervised learning, multimodal sensor fusion, and high-fidelity simulation are driving breakthroughs in AV development and will require 10x more compute. At CEX, we announced the NVIDIA Cosmo World Foundation Model Platform. Just as language foundation models have revolutionized language AI, Cosmos is a physical AI to revolutionize robotics. Leading robotics and automotive companies, including ride-sharing giant Uber, are among the first to adopt the platform. From a geographic perspective, sequential growth in our data center revenue was strongest in the U.S., driven by the initial ramp of Blackwell. Countries across the globe are building their AI ecosystems, and demand for compute infrastructure is surging. France's €200 billion AI investment and the EU's €200 billion Invest AI initiative offer a glimpse into the build-out to set redefined global AI infrastructure in the coming years. Now, as a percentage of total data center revenue, data center sales in China remained well below levels seen on the onset of export controls. Absent any change in regulations, we believe that China's shipments will remain roughly at the current percentage. The market in China for data center solutions remains very competitive. We will continue to comply with export controls while serving our customers. Networking revenue declined 3% sequentially. Our networking attached to GPU compute systems is robust at over 75%. We are transitioning from small NVLink 8 with InfiniBand to large NVLink 72 with Spectrum X. Spectrum X and NVLink switch revenue increased and represents a major new growth sector. We expect networking to return to growth in Q1. AI requires a new class of networking. NVIDIA offers NVLink switch systems for scale-up compute. For scale-out, we offer Quantum InfiniBand for HPC supercomputers and Spectrum X for Ethernet environments. Spectrum X enhances the Ethernet for AI computing and has been a huge success. Microsoft Azure, OCI, CoreWeave, and others are building large AI factories with Spectrum X. The first Stargate data centers will use Spectrum X. Yesterday, Cisco announced integrating Spectrum X into their networking portfolio to help enterprises build AI infrastructure. With its large enterprise footprint and global reach, Cisco will bring NVIDIA Ethernet to every industry. Now moving to gaming and AI PCs. Gaming revenue of $2.5 billion decreased 22% sequentially and 11% year on year. Full year revenue of $11.4 billion increased 9% year on year, and demand remained strong throughout the holiday. However, Q4 shipments were impacted by supply constraints. We expect strong sequential growth in Q1 as supply increases. The new GeForce RTX 50 series desktop and laptop GPUs are here. Built for gamers, creators, and developers, they fuse AI and graphics, redefining visual computing. Powered by the Blackwell architecture, 5th generation Tensor cores, and 4th generation RT cores, and featuring up to 3,400 AI TOPS. These GPUs deliver a 2x performance leap and new AI-driven rendering, including neural shaders, digital human technologies, geometry, and lighting. The new DLSS 4 boosts frame rates up to 8x with AI-driven frame generation, turning one rendered frame into 3. It also features the industry's first real-time application of transformer models, packing 2x more parameters and 4x the compute for unprecedented visual fidelity. We also announced a wave of GeForce Blackwell laptop GPUs with new NVIDIA Max-Q technology that extends battery life by up to an incredible 40%. These laptops will be available starting in March from the world's top manufacturers. Moving to our professional visualization business. Revenue of $511 million was up 5% sequentially and 10% year on year. Full year revenue of $1.9 billion increased 21% year on year. Key industry verticals driving demand include automotive and healthcare. NVIDIA technologies and generative AI are reshaping design, engineering, and simulation workloads. Increasingly, these technologies are being leveraged in leading software platforms from Ansys, Cadence, and Siemens, fueling demand for NVIDIA RTX workstations. Now moving to automotive. Revenue was a record $570 million, up 27% sequentially and up 103% year on year. Full year revenue of $1.7 billion increased 55% year on year. Strong growth was driven by the continued ramp in autonomous vehicles, including cars and robotaxis. At CES, we announced Toyota, the world's largest automaker, will build its next generation vehicles on NVIDIA Orin, running the safety certified NVIDIA Drive OS. We announced Aurora and Continental will deploy driverless trucks at scale powered by NVIDIA Drive 4. Finally, our end-to-end autonomous vehicle platform, NVIDIA Drive Hyperion, has passed industry safety assessments by TÜV and TÜV Rheinland, two of the industry's foremost authorities for automotive-grade safety and cybersecurity. NVIDIA is the first AV platform to receive a comprehensive set of third-party assessments. Okay, moving to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margins was 73%, and non-GAAP gross margins was 73.5%, down sequentially as expected with our first deliveries of the Blackwell architecture. As discussed last quarter, Blackwell is a customizable AI infrastructure with several different types of NVIDIA build chips, multiple networking options, and for air and liquid-cooled data center. We exceeded our expectations in Q4 in ramping Blackwell, increasing system availability, providing several configurations to our customers. As Blackwell ramps, we expect gross margins to be in the low 70s. We are focused on expediting the manufacturing of Blackwell systems to meet strong customer demand as they race to build out Blackwell infrastructure. When fully ramped, we have many opportunities to improve the cost, and gross margin will improve and return to the mid-70s late this fiscal year. Sequentially, GAAP operating expenses were up 9% and non-GAAP operating expenses were 11%, reflecting higher engineering development costs and higher compute and infrastructure costs for new product introductions. In Q4, we returned $8.1 billion to shareholders in the form of share repurchases and cash dividends. Let me turn to the outlook in the first quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $43 billion, plus or minus 2%. Continuing with its strong demand, we expect a significant ramp of Blackwell in Q1. We expect sequential growth in both data center and gaming. Within data center, we expect sequential growth from both compute and networking. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 70.6% and 71%, respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $5.2 billion and $3.6 billion, respectively. We expect full year, fiscal year 26 operating expenses to be in the mid-30s. GAAP and non-GAAP other incoming expenses are expected to be an income of approximately $400 million, excluding gains and losses from non-marketable and publicly held equity securities. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 17% plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial details are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website, including a new financial information AI agent. In closing, let me highlight upcoming events for the financial community. We will be at the TD Cowen Healthcare Conference in Boston on March 3rd, and at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference in San Francisco on March 5th. Please join us for our annual GTC conference starting Monday, March 17th in San Jose, California. Jensen will deliver a news-packed keynote on March 18th, and we will host a Q&A session for our financial analysts the next day, March 19th. We look forward to seeing you at these events. Our earnings call to discuss the results for our first quarter of fiscal 2026 is scheduled for May 28th, 2025. We are going to open up the call, operator, to questions. If you could start that, that would be great.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star, then the number one on your telephone keypad. I also ask that you please limit yourself to one question. For any additional questions, please re-queue. And your first question comes from C.J. Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. I guess for me, Jensen, as test-time compute and reinforcement learning show such promise, we're clearly seeing an increasing blurring of the lines between training and inference. What does this mean for the potential future of potentially inference-dedicated clusters? And how do you think about the overall impact to NVIDIA and your customers? Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, CJ. There are now multiple scaling laws. There's the pre-training scaling law, and that's going to continue to scale because we have multimodality. We have data that came from reasoning that are now used to do pre-training. And then the second is post-training scaling law, using reinforcement learning human feedback, reinforcement learning AI feedback, reinforcement learning verifiable rewards. the amount of computation you use for post-training is actually higher than pre-training. And it's kind of sensible in the sense that you could, while you're using reinforcement learning, generate an enormous amount of synthetic data or synthetically generated tokens. AI models are basically generating tokens to train AI models. And that's post-training. And the third part, this is the part that you mentioned, is test time compute or reasoning, long thinking, inference scaling. They're all basically the same ideas. And there's, you have chain of thought, you have search. The amount of tokens generated, the amount of inference compute needed is already 100 times more than the one-shot examples and the one-shot capabilities of large language models in the beginning. And that's just the beginning. This is just the beginning. The idea that the next generation could have thousands times and even hopefully extremely thoughtful and simulation-based and search-based models that could be hundreds of thousands, millions of times more compute than today is in our future. And so the question is, how do you design such an architecture? Some of the models are autoregressive. Some of the models are diffusion-based. Some of the times you want your data center to have disaggregated inference. Sometimes it's compacted, and so it's hard to figure out what is the best configuration of a data center, which is the reason why NVIDIA's architecture is so popular. We run every model. We are great at training. The vast majority of our compute today is actually inference. And Blackwell takes all of that to a new level. We designed Blackwell with the idea of reasoning models in mind. And when you look at training, it's many times more performant. But what's really amazing is for long thinking, test time scaling, reasoning AI models were tens of times faster, 25 times higher throughput. And so Blackwell is going to be incredible across the board. And when you have a data center that allows you to configure and use your data center based on, are you doing more pre-training now, post-training now, or scaling out your inference, our architecture is fungible and easy to use in all of those different ways. And so we're seeing, in fact, much, much more concentration of a unified architecture than ever before.
Your next question comes from the line of Joe Moore with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Morgan Stanley, actually, thank you. I wonder if you could talk about GB200 at CES. You sort of talked about the complexity of the rack level systems and the challenges you have. And then, as you said in the prepared remarks, we've seen a lot of general availability. Where are you in terms of that ramp? Are there still bottlenecks to consider at a systems level above and beyond the chip level? And just, have you maintained your enthusiasm for the NVL72 platforms?
Well, I'm more enthusiastic today than I was at CES. And the reason for that is because we've shipped a lot more since CES. We have some 350 plants manufacturing the 1.5 million components that go into each one of the Blackwell racks, Grace Blackwell racks. Yes, it's extremely complicated, and we successfully and incredibly ramped up Grace Blackwell, delivering some $11 billion in revenues last quarter. We're going to have to continue to scale as demand is quite high and customers are anxious and impatient to get their Blackwell systems. You've probably seen on the web a fair number of celebrations about Grace Blackwell systems coming online, and we have them, of course. We have a fairly large installation of Grace Blackwells for our own engineering and our own design teams and software teams. CoreWeave has now been quite public about about the successful bring up of theirs. Microsoft has, of course, OpenAI has, and you're starting to see many come online. And so I think the answer to your question is nothing is easy about what we're doing, but we're doing great, and all of our partners are doing great.
Your next question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. Colette, if you wouldn't mind confirming if Q1 is the bottom for gross margins. And then, Jensen, my question is for you. What is on your dashboard to give you the confidence that the strong demand can sustain into next year? And has DeepSeek and whatever innovations they came up with, has that changed that view in any way? Thank you.
Let me first take the first part of the question there regarding the gross margin. During our Blackwell ramp, our gross margins will be in the low 70s. At this point, we are focusing on expediting our manufacturing to make sure that we can provide to customers as soon as possible. Our Blackwell has fully ramped, and once our Blackwell fully ramps, we can improve our cost and our gross margin. So we expect to probably be in the mid-70s later this year. Walking through what you heard Jensen speak about the systems and their complexity, they are customizable in some cases. They've got multiple networking options. They have liquid cooled and water cooled. So we know there is an opportunity for us to improve these gross margins going forward. But right now, we are going to focus on getting the manufacturing complete and to our customers as soon as possible.
We know several things, Vivek. We have a fairly good line of sight of the amount of capital investment that data centers are building out towards. We know that going forward, the vast majority of software is going to be based on machine learning. And so accelerated computing and generative AI, reasoning AI, are going to be the type of architecture you want in your data center. We have, of course, forecasts and plans.
I want the quantum
our
question.
Top partners. And we also know that there are many innovative, really exciting startups that are still coming online as new opportunities for developing the next breakthroughs in AI, whether it's agentic AIs, reasoning AIs, or physical AIs. The number of startups are still quite vibrant, and each one of them need a fair amount of computing infrastructure. And so I think whether it's the near-term signals or the midterm signals, near-term signals, of course, are POs and forecasts and things like that. Midterm signals would be the level of infrastructure and CapEx scale out compared to previous years. And then the long-term signals has to do with the fact that we know fundamentally software has changed from hand coding that runs on CPUs to machine learning and AI-based software that runs on GPUs and accelerated computing systems. And so we have a fairly good sense that this is the future of software. And then maybe as you roll it out, another way to think about that is we've really only tapped consumer AI and search and some amount of consumer generative AI, advertising, recommenders, kind of the early days of software. The next wave's coming. Agentic AI for enterprise, physical AI for robotics, and sovereign AI as different regions build out their AI for their own ecosystems. And so each one of these are barely off the ground, and we can see them. We can see them because obviously we're in the center of much of this development, and we can see great activity happening in all these different places, and these will happen. So near term, midterm, long term.
Your next question comes from the line of Harlan Sur with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. Your next generation Blackwell Ultra is set to launch in the second half of this year in line with the team's annual product cadence. Jensen, can you help us understand the demand dynamics for Ultra, given that you'll still be ramping the current generation Blackwell solutions? How do your customers and the supply chain also manage the simultaneous ramps of these two products? And is the team still on track to execute Blackwell Ultra in the second half of this year?
Yes. Blackwell Ultra is second half. As you know, the first Blackwell was, we had a hiccup that probably cost us a couple of months. We're fully recovered, of course. The team did an amazing job recovering, and all of our supply chain partners and just so many people helped us recover at the speed of light. And so now we've successfully ramped production of Blackwell. But that doesn't stop the next train. The next train is on an annual rhythm, and Blackwell Ultra with new networking, new memories, and of course new processors, and all of that is coming online. We've been working with all of our partners and customers, laying this out. They have all of the necessary information, and we'll work with everybody to do the proper transition. This time between Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra, the system architecture is exactly the same. It's a lot harder going from Hopper to Blackwell because we went from an NVLink 8 system to a NVLink 72 base system. So the chassis, the architecture of the system, the hardware, the power delivery, all of that had to change. This was quite a challenging transition, but the next transition will slot right in. Blackwell Ultra will slot right in. We've also already revealed and been working very closely with all of our partners on the click after that. And the click after that is called Vera Rubin. And all of our partners are getting up to speed on the transition of that. And so preparing for that transition. And again, we're going to provide a big, huge step up. And so come to GTC and I'll talk to you about Blackwell Ultra, Vera Rubin, and then show you what's the one click after that. Really, really exciting new product. So come to GTC, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Jensen, we hear a lot about custom ASICs. Can you kind of speak to the balance between custom ASIC and merchant GPU? We hear about some of these heterogeneous superclusters to use both GPU and ASIC. Is that something customers are planning on building, or will these infrastructures remain fairly distinct? Thanks.
Well, we build very different things than ASICs. In some ways, completely different. In some areas, we intersect. We're different in several ways. One, NVIDIA's architecture is general. Whether you've optimized for autoregressive models or diffusion-based models or vision-based models or multimodal models or text models, we're great at all of it. We're great at all of it because our software stack is our architecture is flexible, our software stack ecosystem is so rich that we're the initial target of most exciting innovations in algorithms. And so by definition, we're much, much more general than narrow. We're also really good from the end to end, from data processing, the curation of the training data, to the training of the data, of course, to reinforcement learning used in post-training, all the way to inference with test time scaling. So we're general, we're end to end, and we're everywhere. And because we're not in just one cloud, we're in every cloud. We could be on-prem, we could be in a robot. Our architecture is much more accessible and a great initial target for anybody who's starting up a new company. And so we're everywhere. And then the third thing I would say is that our performance and our rhythm is so incredibly fast. remember that these data centers are always fixed in size. They're fixed in size or they're fixed in power. And if our performance per watt is anywhere from 2x to 4x to 8x, which is not unusual, it translates directly to revenues. And so if you have a 100 megawatt data center, if the performance or the throughput in that 100 megawatt or that gigawatt data center is 4 times or 8 times higher, your revenues for that gigawatt data center is 8 times higher. And the reason that is so different than data centers of the past is because AI factories are directly monetizable through its tokens generated. And so the token throughput of our architecture being so incredibly fast is just incredibly valuable to all of the companies that are building these things for revenue generation reasons and capturing the fast ROIs. And so I think the third reason is performance. And then the last thing that I would say is the software stack is incredibly hard. Building an ASIC is no different than what we do. We have to build a new architecture, and the ecosystem that sits on top of our architecture is 10 times more complex today than it was 2 years ago. And that's fairly obvious because the amount of software that the world is building on top of our architecture is growing exponentially, and AI is advancing very quickly. So bringing that whole ecosystem on top of multiple chips is hard. And so I would say that those 4 reasons, and then finally I will say this: just because the chip is designed doesn't mean it gets deployed. And you've seen this, over and over again. There are a lot of chips that get built, but when the time comes, a business decision has to be made. And that business decision is about deploying a new engine, a new processor into a limited AI factory in size, in power, and in time. And our technology is not only more advanced, more performant, it has much better software capability, and very importantly, our ability to deploy is lightning fast. And so these things are not for the faint of heart, as everybody knows now. And so there's a lot of different reasons why we do well, why we win.
Your next question comes from the line of Ben Reitz with Melius Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Ben Reitz is here. Hey, thanks a lot for the question. Hey, Jensen, it's a geography-related question. You did a great job explaining some of the demand underlying, factors here on the strength. But U.S. was up about $5 billion or so sequentially. And I think, there is a concern about whether U.S. can pick up the slack if there's regulations towards other geographies. And I was just wondering, as we go throughout the year, if this kind of surge in the U.S. continues and it's going to be, whether that's okay, and if that, underlies your growth rate, how can you keep growing so fast with this mix shift towards the U.S.? Your guidance looks like China is probably up sequentially. So just wondering if you could go through that dynamic and maybe Colette can weigh in. Thanks a lot.
China is approximately the same percentage as Q4 and as previous quarters. It's about half of what it was before the export control, but it's approximately the same in percentage. With respect to geographies, the takeaway is that AI is software. It's modern software. It's incredible modern software, but it's modern software. And AI has gone mainstream. AI is used in delivery services everywhere, shopping services everywhere. If you were to buy, a quart of milk and it's delivered to you, AI was involved. And so almost everything that a consumer service provides, AI is at the core of it. Every student will use AI as a tutor. Healthcare services use AI. Financial services use AI. no fintech company will not use AI. Every fintech company will. Climate tech company uses AI. Mineral discovery now uses AI. The number of every higher education, every university uses AI. And so I think it is fairly safe to say that AI has gone mainstream and that it's being integrated into every application. And our hope is that of course the technology continues to advance safely and advance in a helpful way to society. And with that, we're I do believe that we're at the beginning of this new transition. And what I mean by that in the beginning is remember, behind us has been decades of data centers and decades of computers that have been built. And they've been built for a world of hand coding and general purpose computing and CPUs and so on and so forth. And going forward, I think it's fairly safe to say that world is going to be almost all software will be infused with AI. All software and all services will be ultimately based on machine learning, and the data flywheel is going to be part of improving software and services, and that the future computers will be accelerated. The future computers will be based on AI, and we're really at 2 years into that journey, and in modernizing computers that have taken decades to build out. And so I'm fairly sure that we're in the beginning of this new era. And then lastly, no technology has ever had the opportunity to address a larger part of the world's GDP than AI. No software tool ever has. And so this is now a software tool that can address a much larger part of the world's GDP, more than any time in history. And so the way we think about growth and the way we think about whether something is big or small has to be in the context of that. And when you take a step back and look at it from that perspective, we're really just in the beginnings.
Your next question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Please go ahead. Aaron, your line is open.
Your next
Your
question.
next question comes from Mark Lipacis with Evercore ISI. Please go ahead.
Hi, that's Mark Lipacis. Thanks for taking the question. I had a clarification and a question. Colette, up for the clarification. Did you say that enterprise within the data center grew 2x year on year for the January quarter? And if so, would that make it faster growing than the hyperscalers? And then Jensen, for you, the question, hyperscalers are the biggest purchasers of your solutions, but they buy equipment for both internal and external workloads, external workloads being cloud services that enterprises use. So the question is, can you give us a sense of how that hyperscaler spend splits between that external workload and internal? And as these new AI workloads and applications come up, would you expect enterprises to become a larger part of that consumption mix? And does that impact how you develop your service, your ecosystem? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the question regarding our enterprise business. Yes, it grew 2x, and very similar to what we were seeing with our large CSPs. Keep in mind, these are both important areas to understand. Working with the CSPs
Hopefully.
can be working on large language models, can be working on inference in their own work, but keep in mind,
I want him to talk about
where the
quantum.
enterprises are surfacing. Your enterprises are both with your CSPs as well as in terms of building on their own. They're both correct, growing quite well.
The CSPs are about half of our business, and the CSPs have internal consumption and external consumption, as you say. And we're of course, used for internal consumption. We work very closely with all of them to optimize workloads that are internal to them because they have a large infrastructure of NVIDIA gear that they could take advantage of. And the fact that we could be used for AI on the one hand, video processing on the other hand, data processing like Spark, we're fungible. And so the useful life of our infrastructure is much better. If the useful life is much longer, then the TCO is also lower. And so the second part is how do we see the growth of enterprise, or not CSPs, if you will, going forward? And the answer is, I believe long term, it is by far larger. And the reason for that is because if you look at the computer industry today, and what is not served by the computer industry is largely industrial. So let me give you an example. When we say enterprise, and let's use a car company as an example because they make both soft things and hard things. And so in the case of a car company, the employees would be what we call enterprise, and agentic AI and software planning systems and tools, and we have some really exciting things to share with you guys at GTC. Those agentic systems are for employees, to make employees more productive, to design, to market, to plan, to operate their company. That's agentic AIs. On the other hand, the cars that they manufacture also need AI. They need an AI system that trains the cars, treats this entire giant fleet of cars. And, today, there's a billion cars on the road. Someday, there'll be a billion cars on the road, and every single one of those cars will be, robotic cars. And they'll all be collecting data, and we'll be improving them using an AI factory. Whereas they have a car factory today, in the future, they'll have a car factory and an AI factory. And then inside the car itself is a robotic system. And so, as you can see, there are three computers involved. And there's the computer that helps the people. There's the computer that builds the AI for the machineries. It could be, of course, it could be a tractor. It could be a lawnmower. It could be a humanoid robot that's being developed today. It could be a building. It could be a warehouse. These physical systems require a new type of AI we call physical AI. They can't just understand the meaning of words and languages, but they have to understand the meaning of the world. Friction and inertia, object permanence and cause and effect, and all of those type of things that are common sense to you and I, but AIs have to go learn those physical effects. So we call that physical AI. That whole part of using agentic AI to revolutionize the way we work inside companies, that's just starting. This is now the beginning of the agentic AI era, and you hear a lot of people talking about it, and we've got some really great things going on. And then there's the physical AI after that, and then there are robotic systems after that. And so these three computers are all brand new, and my sense is that long term, this will be by far the larger of them all, which kind of makes sense. The world of the world's GDP is represented by either heavy industries or industrials and companies that are providing for those.
Your next question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for letting me back in. Jensen, I'm curious, as we now approach the 2-year anniversary of really the Hopper inflection that you saw in 2023 in Gen AI in general, and we think about the roadmap you have in front of us, how do you think about the infrastructure that's been deployed from a replacement cycle perspective, and whether, if it's GB300 or if it's the Rubin cycle where we start to see maybe some refresh opportunity? I'm just curious of how you look at that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. First of all, people are still using volts and pascals and amperes. And the reason for that is because there are always things that, because CUDA is so programmable, you could use it right. Well, one of the major use cases right now is data processing and data curation. You find a circumstance that an AI model is not very good at. You present that circumstance to a vision language model, let's say it's a car. You present that that circumstance to a vision language model. The vision language model actually looks at the circumstance and said, this is what happened, and I wasn't very good at it.
Oh,
you then take that response, the prompt, and you go and prompt an AI model to go find in your whole lake of data other circumstances like that, whatever that circumstance was. And then you use an AI to do domain randomization and generate a whole bunch of other examples. And then from that, you can go train the model. And so you could use the Amperes to go and do data processing and data curation and machine learning based search. And then you create the training data set, which you then present to your Hopper systems for training. And so each one of these architectures are completely, they're all CUDA compatible. And so everything runs on everything. But if you have infrastructure in place, then you can put the less intensive workloads onto the install base of the past. All of our GPUs are very well employed.
We have time for one more question, and that question comes from Atif Malik with Citi. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. I have a follow-up question on gross margins for Colette. Colette, I understand there are many moving parts, the Blackwell yields and NVLink 72 and Ethernet mix, and you kind of tiptoed the earlier question if April quarter is the bottom. But second half would have to ramp like 200 basis points per quarter to get to the mid-70s range that you're giving for the end of the fiscal year. And we still don't know much about tariffs impact to broader semiconductors. So what kind of gives you the confidence in that trajectory in the back half of this year?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Our gross margins, they're quite complex in terms of the material and everything that we put together in a Blackwell system. Tremendous amount of opportunity to look at a lot of different pieces of that on how we can better improve our gross margins over time. Remember, we have many different configurations as well on Blackwell that will be able to help us do that. So together, working after we get some of these really strong ramping completed for our customers, we can begin a lot of that work. If not, we're going to probably start as soon as possible if we can. And if we can improve it in the short term, we will also do that. Tariffs, at this point, it's a little bit of an unknown. It's an unknown until we understand further what the U.S. government's plan is, both its timing, its where, and how much. So at this time, we are awaiting. But again, we would, of course, always follow export controls and or tariffs in that manner.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our question and answer session. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No.
And we're gonna open up to Jensen, and I believe he has a couple things.
I just wanted to thank you. Thank you, Colette. The demand for Blackwell is extraordinary. AI is evolving beyond perception and generative AI into reasoning. With reasoning AI, we're observing another scaling law, inference time or test time scaling. The more computation, the more the model thinks, the smarter the answer. Models like OpenAI's Grok 3, DeepSeek R1 are reasoning models that apply inference time scaling. Reasoning models can consume 100 times more compute. Future reasoning models can consume much more compute. DeepSeek R1 has ignited global enthusiasm. It's an excellent innovation, but even more importantly, it has open sourced a world-class reasoning AI model. Nearly every AI developer is applying R1 or chain of thought and reinforcement learning techniques like R1 to scale their model's performance. We now have 3 scaling laws, as I mentioned earlier, driving the demand for AI computing. The traditional scaling laws of AI remains intact. Foundation models are being enhanced with multimodality, and pre-training is still growing. But it's no longer enough. We have two additional scaling dimensions. Post-training scaling, where reinforcement learning, fine-tuning, model distillation require orders of magnitude more compute than pre-training alone. Inference time scaling and reasoning, where a single query can demand 100 times more compute. We designed Blackwell for this moment, a single platform that can easily transition from pre-training, post-training, and test time scaling. Blackwell's FP4 transformer engine and NVLink 72 scale-up fabric and new software technologies let Blackwell process reasoning AI models 25 times faster than Hopper. Blackwell in all of its configurations is in full production. Each Grace Blackwell NVLink 72 rack is an engineering marvel. 1.5 million components produced across 350 manufacturing sites by nearly 100,000 factory operators. AI is advancing at light speed. We're at the beginning of reasoning AI and inference time scaling. But we're just at the start of the age of AI. Multimodal AIs, enterprise AI, sovereign AI, and physical AI are right around the corner. We will grow strongly in 2025. Going forward, data centers will dedicate most of CapEx to accelerated computing and AI. Data centers will increasingly become AI factories, and every company will have them, either rented or self-operated. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Come join us at GTC in a couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about Blackwell Ultra, Rubin, and other new computing, networking, reasoning AI, physical AI products, and a whole bunch more. Thank you.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.
It's like I did not want to stay the extra 3 minutes. Oh man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. NVIDIA has somewhat gone according to plan, I want to say, but the problem is, right? Like people are expecting we want to be in space and I want a Jarvis. And that is one of the biggest issues we have here, right? It's just we're not getting clear, like a clear trajectory to growth because there's a lot of hope built in, right? A lot of hope that the chips and the infrastructure that they're using is the right one. And this is where it kind of gets scary, and that's the reason the valuations get affected here, right? Now the stock was trying to figure out whether it was good or it was bad, you know, because like, for example, out of the 5 things that we wanted from this call, which was a beat in earnings per share, a beat in revenue, increasing guidance, increase in margin, and major increase in data center, I think we got like an A minus. You know what I mean? This earnings, if I have to give it a grade, it's an A minus, right? It was great. It was fantastic. You know, earnings per share, I understand why it comes in lower than expected, but revenue, I was expecting it to come stronger. That being said, the kind of hurdles that we're facing last quarter with Blackwell could have had an impact. So hopefully that's fixed and we continue to go. But then the biggest thing in this one, like the biggest like negative point for NVIDIA right now, it's the margins, right? Those margins are hurt, and it makes sense why they're hurt because they're trying to ramp up production for Blackwell. But there was something interesting, right? Like Blackwell is eating in a little bit into the Hopper infrastructure, right? So it's like the sales, it's 11 billion, but you can see that it ate probably like 5 billion of Hopper or around that, right? So It's very interesting. I mean, the market is trying to decipher whether we need to go up. And the thing is like based on this news, right? We're still growing and we're still having amazing results because these are amazing results the way that we're growing, right? Like we're not growing as rapidly as we were just before, but this is, it is a new phase, right? And this new phase is going to take time for us to build, develop, and then obviously we have to wait and see what the product roadmap is, which CGT will provide a clear depiction of what it is. Hmm. It's interesting because there's a lot of sleeping giants sitting on NVIDIA right now, right? Like if we didn't have any of the tariff issues and if we didn't have any of the restrictions and we didn't have all of the geopolitics that is now center stage, stock could easily be sitting at 140, 150. Could we see the stock jumping? I mean, it wanted to, right? Like there's risk appetite here, but we just don't know where to go. Like everybody's so confused on this. Let me just double check to see if there is any news or anything that's affecting. But I mean, like, the problem is Jensen can't give you. It's like before it was like, oh, LLMs and generative AI and all of these new words were coming in, but now he's just said it so many times, time and time and time and time again, that the market is just fed up with them. They're like, okay, like, but what's next, right? What's next? And then like when you look at the robots, they're not like that crazy. Like, yeah, they're doing some cool things, but you know, they're not changing or sharing the paradigm. And that is why the stock is acting like this. Could this pump markets tomorrow? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that the stock's flat, and I think Nvidia is now not center stage anymore. Which is a good thing too. Don't get me wrong. Take a little bit of the weight out of it, right? But the big question will be, what's GDP data tomorrow, and then what are we expecting? What are expectations on it? Alexa today, the Alexa keynote was actually interesting. The ad for it was really nice. For those who didn't see it, by the way, you can watch it. Yeah.
Get my style. I know you ain't seen it like this in a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey there. So we can just talk now. I'm all ears, figuratively speaking.
Cool. Do you know how to manage my kids' schedules?
I noticed a birthday party conflicts with picking up Grandma at the airport. Want me to book her a ride? Billie Eilish is in town soon.
No way.
I can share when tickets are available in your city.
Yes, please.
Got any spring break ideas?
Somewhere not too far. Only if there's a beach and nice weather.
Santa Barbara is great for everyone. I found a restaurant downtown I think you'd like.
What is Santa Barbara known for?
It has great upscale shops and oceanfront dining.
Can you go whale watching?
Absolutely. Want me to book a catamaran tour?
Wow. What's the next step?
Remove the nut holding the cartridge.
Should I get bangs?
You might only love them for a little while.
You're probably right. Make a slideshow of baby Tina. Mom.
What part am I looking for again?
2-inch washers. Your Uber is 2 minutes away.
For real?
Wait, did someone let the dog out today?
I checked the cameras. And yes, in fact, Mozart was just out.
That one right there tells me that compute is going to be nuts. Because if you have that much video having to be understood and recorded and all that stuff, these guys are not stopping. Like AI spending is not stopping. Now the question is it's NVIDIA spending stopping? I don't think it is in the near future. I just don't think we grow. I think they are willing to expand in order to kind of figure out, okay, what is the direction, right? Like last year, it was very clear that NVIDIA was the way. And NVIDIA is still the way. But we're deviating a little bit. And that is what's causing that sort of uncertainty in the stock price. Hmm. Hmm. So tricky. So tricky. Stock's flat after earnings. This hurts the call options for tomorrow, that's for sure. Oh man. But we'll see what happens. I mean, like right now we're hoping and praying something in the macro helps the stock market, right? Trump for a little bit did calm it down, but again, sounds good. What? What's scary? What's scary? I might do a video on it, explaining it all. Dragas, just for you. Just for you. But yeah. Hmm. Whew. All right, guys. Any other questions you guys may have? Market's flat. Market's flat. What happened tomorrow? Let me just close that off real quick. Let's see if the Mara. Yeah, Mara's giving up a little bit, but it's based on the. It's gonna be based on the Bitcoin price. As long as we hold here, but we could retest tomorrow for sure. Insanity. All right. Well, guys, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for watching. I am gonna go off to bed. I wasn't. I did a LinkedIn stream. Oh, LinkedIn stopped. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out. Peace, peace.